Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this HP laptop model 17-BY3053CL. Alright, so this laptop was giving a fan error, and also it's very slow. The hard drive was showing 100% activity even though it wasn't doing anything. So we're going to be upgrading the hard drive to an SSD as well. First thing we're going to do is remove the rubber feet from the bottom. I just use my fingernails. You can use whatever plastic pry tools you want, but make sure that you're peeling up the adhesive as well, not just the rubber piece. All right, and that will also help prevent the rubber from stretching out. Okay, so there we go. Oh, I think the screws on here might be bad. All right, let's go ahead and remove this one as well. So same thing, I just get in the edge with my fingernail. I don't know if you're able to see that, but basically that, and then make sure again that you're peeling the adhesive as well. And we're gonna set this aside. These two pieces of rubber are different, so make sure you don't mix them up. All right, and let's go ahead now and remove all the screws from the bottom. We're using a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. You want to keep all the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. So the way I do that is I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them, so that way I'll know exactly where they came from. So we got the 4 there, we got 1 there, we got 2 here, 2 here, and then 1 there. So we're just going to put them in that order. Obviously there's also probably going to be some underneath the CD drive, so we're going to do that as well. So far the screws look to be about the same, but again, it's always a good idea to keep them in order either way. This screw was a little bit less shiny, same thing with these. The ones under appear to be more shiny. All right, we're gonna remove the CD drive. If you can't pull the CD drive out like this, all right, one thing you could do, let me see here, I'm gonna have to get a little paper clip or something. Let me go get something and I'll be back. All right, so we got a small paper clip here, so I'm gonna fold it open, and there's a little hole here. You're basically just gonna get that in there and then kind of push that, and you can see it pops out. If it doesn't open, you might have to open the paper clip further, but you can see now we can pull the tray out. All right, and then after you extend it all the way, you grab here the rails, and then you kind of wiggle and pull, and you can see it's coming out. You might have to kind of pull it up and down a little because sometimes this gets caught here. If it doesn't come out, we might have to flip the whole thing over because sometimes gravity will help. So we're gonna flip it over this way, okay, and then we're gonna carefully pull the tray all the way out, and then pull this, and there you go. All right, so there's the CD drive. Oh, it looks like there was some moisture in there at some point. Anyways, we'll close that up. We don't need that to stay open. Okay, we're gonna now flip this back over and continue removing the screws. As you can see, there's 2 really wide screws here, so make sure to remove those as well. Okay. All right, now that we've removed those 2, we're gonna go ahead and continue removing the others. So we got the 2 lighter colored ones here. That one and this one. Then we got the 2 more silvery ones here, but we'll also remove this. I'll just put that in a row of 3 because it's easy to keep track of. And I'm also running out of desk space, so there we go. Get those 3 out. All right, next we're gonna pop the bottom cover off. You wanna carefully, slowly open up the laptop. The reason is these screws go into the hinges, and now that it has less screws holding it, it's a little bit weaker, the mechanism. All right, so I'm gonna get my fingernails in the gap here, all right, between the palm rest and the base. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push with my thumbs here and pull with my fingers on the front. So like this, you can see. All right, that's how you pop the clips out. Just like that. I'm gonna slowly close this back actually. All right, now that we got the whole front out, we're gonna go around the sides and do the same thing. Okay, obviously you can use plastic pry tools if you want. You don't have to do it this way, but I use it because it's the tools I have on hand. All right, wow, the side's actually pretty tough to get out. I might have to start from the other side. Let's see, but these are the tools I have on hand and they work well for me. So that's what I do. All right, we got that side. Let's go ahead and go here. Okay, the sides are a little tricky. This part you have to kind of push inwards as you kind of get it up because the clip is kind of hooking over this way. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and try and pop this up. Okay, push it inwards and then kind of, it's a little tricky. If you had a like hook a way to get in there, it would make it easier, but I'm gonna like pull it in and then kind of lift this. Come on, let's see. It's still not wanting to come up. This part's being tricky. We might have to go from the other side first. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue back on the other side, and then maybe we can lift it up from this side and it will help. All right, I'm gonna pop this corner a bit again, go back over here, and it's like there's glue on this side for some reason. The thing is really stuck right there. There we go. Okay, that one, for some reason that clip was really stuck. Be careful with this part because the part where the ports are a lot thinner. Okay, and then let's go around the back and see if we can pop that. Okay, looks like the side is kind of also stuck here, so it's not going to pop easily. Got most of it. Come on, there we go. That corner's up. Okay, and now that we got all of that, you can see it wiggled and it already kind of came up a little bit there. We might have to wiggle this a bit. It helped kind of pushing it inwards like that, and you can see now most of that's up. We got to get this corner up. Same thing, get under there. There we go. All right, is there a little clip in the middle? All right, so you can see now most of it's released except for this portion. And this portion, like I said, it's going to be a little tricky because the way it hooks into it that way. So we got to be careful lifting it, because if you just pull it too hard, you're going to end up breaking this piece off. Okay, so let's see. We're going to flip it over. Got to keep rotating it. Okay, lift everything, and then I'm going to lift this edge and then try and pull it in. There we go, and there we go. All right, so now we got the whole bottom out. Oh man, their battery's also bad. You see that? It's all inflated. They didn't ask me to repair or replace that, but here's the battery model information, HT03XL. This battery, after you remove all these screws, you can actually just pull it up like this. It has a little thing that just wedges down into a slot like that. Okay, here's the hard drive, and here's the fan. I don't know if the fan's gonna need thermal paste redone, but we'll see. All right, I need a thumbnail here, so let's line this up. We'll disconnect the battery just because I don't really need to remove it for what I'm doing, but we'll do it just because it's like inflated, so might as well. Okay, so I'll get those two screws here out. Sorry, this one and this one, and then two more down here, one on either side. You don't need the HP spare part number that's here, but it's L11119-855. Yeah, you don't really need that. Just use HT03XL. All right, so I get under here and then pull the battery up just like that. There you can see we got the battery out. Their fan doesn't look really dirty or anything, but they're worried that like it's spinning okay, so I don't know, but it's spinning like crazy fast. So at one point it was giving an error. We're gonna try and remove these two screws and see if we can figure something out. It doesn't look like it needs anything done here though. My guess is maybe they tried cleaning it and then it blew a dust ball into it. Okay, you can see we don't need anything else. We do need to carefully remove the wireless antenna here, so be very careful. You go from the tail and then you pull straight up. But to make it a little bit even safer, I'm actually going to take the whole wireless card out, because sometimes the solder job for that is not too good. And if that breaks off, then you basically lose your wireless forever. All right, so I'm going to pull this up slightly and then I'm going to pull this out. All right, I try and avoid removing the wireless antennas if I can, because there have been cases in the past where you do it right and it still like rips off just because the solder wasn't done properly. So anyways, we got that out of the way, and now we can lift the fan up. As you can see, it's a little dusty in there, but nothing crazy. So I guess we're gonna try and add some grease to the fan just to be safe. Okay, I don't know if the customer tried to clean it and then maybe a big ball of dust went in there and clogged it up, and maybe that's why it was stopping. But yeah, all right, now I'm gonna use my fingernails at the wings of this connector and just wiggle wiggle. One other thing I recommend, let me do that after I remove the fan here. Jeez, this fan's stuck in there real strong. So just wiggle wiggle wiggle. You can do this with like some needle nose pliers or something. This is probably destroying my fingernail, but there we go, we got that out. Okay, I'm gonna slowly carefully open this up, like I said, after disconnecting the battery. It's always a good idea after disconnecting the battery to open the computer and then press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power, making it safer to work on. Keep in mind this does reset the BIOS, because the battery acts as the CMOS BIOS RTC real-time clock battery as well. So when you put it back in, it's going to take a while for it to start up again. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Oh, and I do see some loose broken plastic pieces in here. So my guess is that plastic or something fell into the fan and was causing it, because the fan spins really freely. You see this broken plastic piece? I'm going to see if I can put it back on here somehow. Okay, it looks like it came from this one, but let's see, can I line it up right? Okay, it looks like it goes this way. Okay, so I'm gonna line this up and then stick that back on there because it helps space it for the screw. I guess that explains why the screw was kind of rolling around weird. But I don't think, or like wobbling, but I don't think that could have came out because you see it's a perfect circle here. So the piece that broke off was also a circle. There's no way that piece could have rolled around inside the computer actually. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to clean up the glue that it went actually into the center. Didn't mean for it to go there. All right, we'll now drop this in, line it up, and then we gotta hold that down for several seconds. I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna have to use some paper towel to clean up in there because the glue kind of dripped in the side. If you can see that, it went down along the edge. All right, so I'm gonna hold on to this while it's drying. Let me close up the super glue here. We're gonna clean the dust out here, and actually we'll redo the thermal paste as well, just because since it's running really hot, at least I think it's running hot. The fan's going crazy. That doesn't always mean the fan's running hot. It could be something weird in the software, but it is doing some weird stuff, so we'll have to see if we can figure it out. All right, let's go ahead and try and clean this up here because we don't want super glue to stay in there and then cause some problems. So I'm gonna just get that paper in there, try and clean it up. Okay, toss that aside. Hopefully everything else is good here. And then, all right, I think I held it long enough. It's holding on, so that's good. Let's go ahead and now clean this. So this, I'm gonna take it outside because I don't wanna brush the dust everywhere, but I'm just gonna brush that all off there and then use an electric air blower to clean it off. Same thing with the fan. I'm just gonna like brush the fan blades to make sure it's good and then use an air blower to blow that out. All right, I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. Oops, sorry about the noise thing, but there we go. It's all clean there, and this is all clean. I could definitely feel like some little bit strange vibration when I spin the fan, so we're gonna work on that. But let's go ahead and replace the hard drive with the SSD real quick. All right, so sorry, I'm out of desk space, so I can't just push it back. Here we go. We got the SSD. We cloned everything to this drive. We're gonna go ahead and let's see if we can disconnect this without taking the whole thing out. So I'm pulling this back. You can see a gap forming. I like to just stick my fingernail on there. Obviously you can use a plastic pry tool, and then you can see I can just wedge it out that way. Okay, and you can see they held this down with adhesive onto this, so you want to be careful pulling that out. All right, so this has little feet that go in under here, so we have to lift from this side, and you can see now it comes up, and then we can slide that out. Here are the little feet that kind of stick out. This doesn't have any screws. You kind of just wiggle it, and then it should, there you go, flop open like that. And we'll get the replacement drive, wedge that in. It has these little posts that go into the screw hole, so line that back up, get that all back in, and then wedge the feet back under first. Get this out of the way, slowly lower it down. There we go, and then get this connector back into place and pull that in. So there we go. That's pretty much it for installing the SSD. If you didn't clone it over first, you do need to reinstall Windows on there, so keep that in mind. You can't just pop a drive in and then the computer will start working. You do need to redo the thermal paste. Okay, so the fan, we're gonna work on that, but let's go ahead first and remove the heatsink and see about redoing the thermal paste. Okay, so there's 4 screws here. Let me see what I can do to zoom in. All right, also if you're wondering, there's 2 slots for RAM here. People like to ask how many slots there are. I don't know, you can clearly see there's 2. But the type of RAM is, let me actually zoom out and show you how to pull one out. Okay, so this screw. All right, again, keep the screws in order. All right, so you pull these 2 tabs away from the RAM and then it pops up, then you can pull it out. Make sure you line this up right because the notch is like shifted over one way, so you want to make sure to get it in right. So this is 4 gig stick, PC4 2666V, right? So you should be okay with any PC4 2666V RAM. If you want, you can put 2 8 gig sticks, 2 16 gig sticks, whatever you want. All right, and then you saw push it in at an angle and then click it down. All right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and continue removing the heat sink and check if the thermal paste is all dried up and rock solid, because the fan's going crazy right now. Okay, after you get the screws out, let me zoom out here for you guys. Usually if the paste is solid, you can't just lift this up, but it worked. So normally you'd have to kind of wiggle it and twist it a little bit, but be careful, you don't want to bend all this stuff up. So it's better if you kind of go closer to here and kind of grab closer to twist it. But there you go, you can see it came up really easily. So the paste isn't actually too bad, but we'll clean it up. We'll add some new paste. I'm going to use some icy diamond. You can use whatever paste you want. I would avoid the liquid metal stuff. There's too much risk involved. Especially it's like there's copper exposed right there so close. But I mean, if you want to take that risk, go ahead, go for it. But on this computer, I would say it doesn't make sense. You're not going to get crazy amount of performance increase from doing that. All right. So there we go. Clean that up. I'm going to use rubbing alcohol after to clean it better. But we'll just wipe this all up here. Okay. Wipe this up. There we go. All right, so we got all of that. Now I'm going to get some isopropyl rubbing alcohol here. I'm going to just fold this all up here. Get the isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to pour a little bit on my paper towel, and we're just going to use that to clean it up. The paste wasn't too bad. I don't know why they designed it to have the heat pipe so far away. If they had a more direct route, it would cool a lot better. But it is what it is. That's how they designed it. So that's what we gotta live with. All right, clean that up. You can see all the silver stuff coming off. Use the dry side, clean it up a bit better. All right, and use this air blower to kind of clean it a little. All right, so now we're gonna use some new thermal paste. The amount of thermal paste you need is actually very little. A lot of people like always overdo it. You don't need a lot. It squishes really super thin. So you just squeeze a little here. Let's see. Okay, even that's a lot actually. Okay, that's way too much. But let's even it out. Okay, it's not quite a square, but it's pretty close. So you kind of want to center it, but have it slightly like lumping out, like a little rice or bean. Okay, so I'll do that. And then this one, same thing. All right, I don't know if you saw the thermal paste how it was before. It was like a flat spread across the entire plate. And then that, I mean, it's pulling heat to the areas of the plate where it doesn't really need to be pulled. So it doesn't cool as efficiently, but it's somewhat negligible. So if you're in doubt, you could put more, but it's really unnecessary, and it actually makes it less efficient by a little bit. Okay, so there we go. I know it's hard to see with the reflections and everything, but let me see if I can show you here. So you can see that lump in the middle like that and like that. All right, so now that we got that, keep in mind this thing is also numbered to help you smush the thermal paste down evenly. We're gonna lower this on. I'm gonna put it at an angle so it's like that, and then we'll slowly drop it down. Okay, and we got screw number 1 here. So the way I do this, I like to spin it backwards, hear it click, and then go 1, 2, 3. Okay, then the second screw, same thing, twist it backwards, 1, 2, 3. Okay, third screw, same thing, get it in, twist it backwards, click, 1, 2, 3. And the fourth screw, same thing, twist it backwards, click, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll go back over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go ahead now and tighten it down all the way. Okay, and that should apply the pressure pretty evenly all around, so that way the paste will just smush completely flat. And the reason I don't flatten it out at first and I just leave it a mound is because the high part will push down and spread everything outwards nicely. If you start with a flat thing, then any like imperfections like this, if you smash on top, those little bubbles and holes will get trapped. So if you push this and it smears out everything, it'll push all the bubbles out to the outside. Again, the bubbles will be pretty small, so it won't affect it too much, but I'd rather have it better than you know, just doing it just because it's probably going to be okay. Anyways, we'll get this lined up. If you're replacing the fan, make sure you know that the metal pins are lined up. Oh, what am I doing? I need to add some grease to this fan. So let me set this aside real quick. Okay, let's repair this fan real quick. This fan, because it has these melted plastic things, we're going to have to use a razor blade to cut those off. And then we're going to have to hold this back together with some tape. So keep that in mind, all right? So I'll take that one, got this second one here, slice it. You have to angle it slightly downwards, but not too much that you're cutting straight down into it, and not too flat. Otherwise, the blade will kind of go higher and not cut the plastic completely off. And then you're going to be stuck with some of the plastic still there. Be careful with holding this because you can see like I'm somewhat cutting towards my hand. You don't want to slip and then cut your finger. So try and keep your finger out of the way. Okay, and we'll just continue cutting these off. And you have to use a slicing motion to get it. You see how I'm kind of wiggling it side to side or back to back, whatever you want to call it. That helps cut it. If you just try and pull it, it's not going to go anywhere. You need to slice it like this, okay? All right, so there we go. We got all those out. Let's hope the propellers come out relatively easily. So we got those. We can now lift this off. You can see how it comes out. And it's relatively clean in there. I used a toothbrush to clean from the outside and then a powerful air blower. All right, so to get these propeller blades off, I go from the back here. If you can see the center ring there, you want to try and aim for that and then push on both sides evenly. Okay, so this fan, oh, this one's going to be tough. It's stuck in there real strong. So this one is actually stuck really strong, and the other issue is the ring is kind of further inside than this outer silver part, so it makes it hard to push, but let's go ahead and try. Okay, so we're gonna push. Okay, I felt it pop. Once you feel it pop, then usually you can lift it out, and there we go. All right, so next thing we gotta do, we gotta clean it up. Okay, so I'm gonna get, again, some more paper towel here. I use a lot of paper towel for this kind of work. All right, so I'm gonna tear a small piece here, and we're just gonna clean this middle piece. I just grip that and then clean it, and actually it's not too bad. So yeah, I'm gonna clean the center of the magnet as well, and you can see that kind of has some dusty stuff. All right, so this one's not too bad. Next, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add some oil into the center there. You can use the folded out paper clip that you used to eject the CD drive. Use any kind of oil that's designed to lubricate moving parts. Don't use WD-40. People keep trying to use WD-40 or some other stuff. Don't use gun oil. That stuff's designed to dissolve impurities and things into there. You don't want to dissolve the metals and stuff inside here, okay? We're just lubricating it. So I'm going to use this paper clip. I'm going to rotate this bottle, dip it in there. You can see there's a little drop of oil on it, and we're just going to drop it into the center there, okay? After that, what I do, so I take the fan, I'm not going to pop it all the way back in, but I'm going to stick it on there, spin it around a little, okay, just to get the oil kind of coated around. Pull it back up, okay, take some more paper towel here, and then we're going to go ahead and clean this off again. All right, and you can see now there's a little bit of oil there, and the oil's pretty clean, so I think we should be okay. If you're wondering how the fan holds itself in place, you see that little nib thingy there? It's hard to focus because it's away, but it's kind of like, yeah, it has like an expanded area at the top. All right, I'm gonna also clean this, so we'll set that aside and we'll brush it this way now that we have access to the inside of the fan better. Okay, so I'm just holding it at the center. You can see I'm spinning it with the toothbrush like that, but I brush it and then it brushes every blade evenly. Okay, we can do the same thing on the other side like this. Make sure to go one way and then also go the other way to brush both sides of the blades. Okay, and then you can check it, make sure it looks good. Looks good. All right, now, oops, I knocked my screws over. Let me put those back. All right. So, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put one more drop of oil into there, and then we'll clean it up and reassemble this thing, okay? So a little more oil, drop it into the center there. There we go. Make sure to clean this up. You can use stuff that they use for like hair trimmers if you have that mineral oil kind of thing. Although it wouldn't work as well as stuff that's designed to lubricate moving parts for like long periods of time. So we're gonna clean that up. There you go. Mineral oil is better if like you can continuously keep re-adding and cleaning it. This, because it's going to be sealed for a long time, you don't want something that is like temporary lubrication. All right, we're going to now put this back on, line it back up, and then spin it, and then click it down. Hear it click. All right, we'll get this piece, put it back on top. Again, we are going to have to use some tape to hold it back into place. All right, some people say, oh, like if you use whatever tape, it's going to melt, it's going to melt. Like, it's not going to melt, don't worry about it. You see this foam thing here? If you're worried about the tape gonna melt, this will melt. These plastic things will melt. So don't worry about it melting, it's not gonna melt, all right? The fan doesn't get any of the heat. It pulls in ambient air and blows it through the heatsink. So that's how fans work for this, for the computers. It doesn't pull the hot air into it, or the heatsink, what do you call the CPU. It doesn't pull the heat from the CPU, it just pulls air and then blows that cool air into it. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna get some tape here. So I just pull a little bit like this, and we'll cut it so it's somewhat like maybe close to a centimeter, maybe less. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this into strips, and we're gonna put these strips all around the fan to hold it back down since we don't have the melted plastic. So just line it up, stick it on like that, and then wrap it over, okay? Then you have one tab there holding, and we're just gonna do this all around, okay? At the part where there's like not as much room, so you can see here there's not as much room, so I'm gonna put a thicker, wider piece like that, okay, and then just stick it on, and then we're gonna stick this down. It's gonna hit the foam, so I'm gonna cut that excess corner out, okay, so we'll cut that, and then we'll stick that down just like this. All right, so very simple, straightforward. We're just having it hold itself back together with tape, okay? And if there's rounded edges that you want to put it on, you actually want to cut smaller pieces because it's hard for the tape to curve and then fold down. So you want to actually cut even thinner pieces when you get to like round areas, okay? Just like that. You see how thin it is, okay? So when you get to rounder spots, that's how you would do it, okay? You would put it over there. It doesn't need to be that small, but I'm just kind of giving an example. All right, so we'll do that, and we're just going to continue going all around. Okay. And once you're satisfied with it, then you can go ahead and put the computer back together. So we're going to stick another one here, stick it here. And if you feel like it's coming up, you can always put a flat piece across here, a flat piece across there. But as long as it's just holding itself together, you don't really need to worry too much. All right. Go back here, stick that on, wrap that over. Okay. And if you want to be more secure, you can also cut like longer pieces. So you can cut like longer ones here if you want. And to make it super secure, so right now that's already plenty tape all around, but if you want to make it super secure, you can wrap one end over to the, here, and then you make it long enough that you can wrap it over there and wrap it over the bottom. Then there's no way it's going to come out, all right? So we got that. What else? We got these two sides, these two sides. I think we're good. I don't think we really need much more tape. So I'm going to stick this piece up there in between the wireless antenna area and then wrap it over there. All right, then you can try and like pull it. You can see it's holding itself good. It's not going to come out. All right, so there we go. We'll set that aside. Let's go ahead and get the computer back, put it back together, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we got this. We're going to put the fan back in here. Okay, I'm going to get this line back up. And then pinch that. I like to pinch the two pieces together, okay? So get this lined up and then pinch just like this. Wow, that's actually, why is it not going in? for some reason the connector doesn't want to go in. Let me see if I can put it more straight this way, make it a little bit easier to grab both sides. Okay, get that in, and then pinch. Jeez, this doesn't want to go back. What is happening here? It's definitely in the slot. I mean, this one was super difficult to get out, so I don't know. I guess it's being super difficult to put back as well. I'm going to rotate it because it'll be easier for me to pull it this way. And let's see. Why isn't it going back in? This is really strange. Am I going to have to use needle nose pliers for this? Let's see. It's not like it's going upside down or anything. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and pinch with needle nose pliers here. You can see one side in and the other side. All right, so I don't know. It went in easily with the needle nose pliers. There we go. All right, so there we go. We got that in. We're going to rotate the fan back over. Get that lined up. Get the fan screws here. Get that back in. Okay, hopefully I'm getting the right ones in the right place. Loosely fit the other screw first, and then get this one here. Right, and then I will tighten it down. Get the wireless card here. Okay, line this back up. Get that over there, get that under there. Get that under there, get this over here. And then this goes in at an angle like the RAM. Push it in. Lower this down, make sure this wire goes underneath. Okay, just like that. And then get the screw in. All right, there we go. Next, the battery. So we'll zoom out here again. Okay, very straightforward. Line the bottom in first. This has little raised mounts. Get that, push that down. You can kind of pull it forward and get these screws in. Okay. One. This one. This one. And this one. Very simple and straightforward. All right, we'll now get the bottom cover. Let me zoom out. Line this back up so people can see. Bottom cover has a little dust. Let me clean that real quick. Okay, there we go. Clean that up. Now we'll get this back over here. Same thing, we'll kind of line this up and click these in first. Then we can go ahead and push down, work our way over, click everything else in. You gotta push in like this, okay? All right, it'll help also to go from the top, but while we're flipped over like this, it's gonna be easier to do that. So we'll get all the screws in, then we'll double check, make sure everything's clipped in, and we should be good to go. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, if you can't help out that way, it would help a lot if you could watch a few of my other videos and then like and comment on those as well. If you could also subscribe to my other channel, It's Been Reviewed. That would be very helpful. Other than that, thanks for watching. We're going to power this up once we get it all back together because I know some people are like, hey, did it actually work? I want to see it actually working. So I'll show you, I'll power it up. Like I said, because we disconnected the main battery, the BIOS is reset now. So it is going to take a while to start up. So again, keep that in mind. If you worked on yours and took the battery out, it's going to take some time. Sorry, I forgot to go over all the other components inside the computer. Let me actually do that real quick. I'm going to take this off and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, here you can see the USB port SD card slot. All right. Is there anything else there? The little hard drive and activity indicator lights, whatever. There's connected by this cable. This has a flip latch. All right. I'm going to leave these because I don't want to mess with them. But it has a flip latch and then it runs along underneath. You have the optical disk drive connector here. That also has a flip latch to remove it. If you're wondering, there's the keyboard connectors right there. It looks a little bit crooked. Let me see if I can straighten it a little. So we'll flip that latch. And I guess it has the wings that hold it, so it's probably fine. We'll flip that, but now it's more straight. All right. You got a little connector here. I'm not sure what that's for. It doesn't have anything connected. You have the touchpad, trackpad connector here. And then this says pick. What is pick? I don't know. Oh, pick is the button there. All right. Actually, this has a slot for an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD. It would have been better to use one of these because these tend to be a bit faster, but their hard drive was failing, so I didn't want to leave the hard drive in either way, so I would have had to pull that out. I don't have a 500 gig M.2 SSD, so either way, the customer wanted it back today, so yeah. What else? You got the speaker connector here. Both speakers connect to this one spot, so this speaker has a wire that runs underneath and connects there. You can actually barely see the wire over there. So if you want to remove the speaker, you might have to, I think you have to at least take out the heatsink, and then you might have to lift the motherboard slightly to pull it up, but yeah, most likely you'll have to pull the motherboard out. This is the LCD LVDS connector. If you're going to mess with this, it's very important that you disconnect the battery, open the laptop, and press and hold the power button at least 15 seconds before touching this. If you try and flip this open and take it out and you go at any slight angle, you're going to fry either the motherboard backlight circuit, you can melt this connector, the cable, and kill your screen. So yeah, you want to make sure to do that. All right. You got the DC jack charge port connector here. You do have to take these screws out and then lift the hinge up. Usually after I remove the screws, I carefully open the laptop slightly, close it back down, and then it forms a gap I can get under and pry it up. But that's the charge port. Everything else seems to be soldered. There's a little clip here that helps hold the cover on, so make sure if you take that out that you put that back right. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. All right, now let's go ahead and actually put this thing back together. So you already saw most of it. We're going to get this side back in first again. Click that all back down. Okay. Then work our way around the edges. Click that back in. Okay. Make sure you get the middle one as well. You can hear that. Oh, that clip keeps wanting to pop. But anyways, shake it up. Make sure no clips are loose rattling around in there. And then we'll get all these screws back in. All right, you already saw most of this. If you want, you can fast forward again. But anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys out. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Really helps me out. All right, if it helped you save a bunch of money, please, again, consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. All right, if you can't help out that way, again, it would help a lot if you could watch a few of my other videos and then like and comment on those as well, because that's what the algorithm likes to see. You can also search for my It's Been Reviewed channel. Pretty much the same thing as this channel, except it's only my reviews. And I might eventually put other stuff there. Excuse me. But for now, it's just my reviews. So yeah, keep that in mind. I do have other stuff there. And if you're interested in that kind of content, it's there for you as well. All right. Let's finish getting all these screws in, power it up, and see what we got. So let's get this. And this. Okay, now the clip actually stayed because all the screws. All right. Then we'll get this guy. And the last one. All right, don't forget the little rubber feet. So we'll get this lined up into view. I like to try and make sure I line it up the same way it was before. I don't like to flip it upside down, so I check this and then look at the little dots, line it up. We'll get this one side in first, push down a little bit of it, go to the other side, make sure this also goes to the edge there, and then we'll work our way towards the center. The reason I do that is so that you don't have any excess stretched material kind of bowing up, okay, and then that will cause it to come back out. So same thing with this one. Flip it back over. We'll get this edge in first, kind of push it all the way to the edge. We'll get this side, pull that over. Okay, make sure it goes all the way to the end. And then we just work our way over to make sure it's all pressed down. There we go. Let's go ahead and power it up. Hopefully it will have enough battery power with that messed up battery, and we'll see. All right, again, also make sure everything's clipped. It looks good. And now we're powered on. Get all that dust off the screen. I did hear it start spinning up. You can also check the lights on the side here. If this power light is on, then you should be good. It's powering on. In some cases, if it doesn't turn on even after you leave it on for like a couple of minutes or so, then you might want to check the RAM, because the RAM might not be seated properly, okay? If you check the RAM, it's seated properly, try just using one stick at a time. Sometimes the RAM could go bad, so you want to be careful, right? So you can see still nothing's on the screen. Let me see here. The power light's still on, and the power light just shut off. I hope it has enough battery life. Okay, the light just turned back on, so it is doing something. It must be resetting the BIOS. We're gonna leave it sitting again, and hopefully it should eventually pop up. Usually I would let it sit for at least 10-20 minutes if nothing's happening, just to make sure, because sometimes it's weird and takes a long time, but we'll see. If it's being stubborn, try leaving it longer, like an hour, or even overnight. Make sure it's plugged in. I might have to plug it in. The power light is, oh, the power light's solid. Come on, wake up. There you go. All right, see, it takes a long time, so it scares me. HP likes to do this. I hate it. But anyways, press enter to reboot the system. We'll press enter, and actually I need to show you, I need to change the BIOS settings. So for HP, it's F10. So we're gonna press F10 on boot. And I need to double check. Oops, why did I press F2? Go away. I don't need startup check. I'm gonna turn it back on, and press F10. I press F2 because a lot of other laptops, F2 or delete is the BIOS. Okay, so anyways, we gotta go back in here. We gotta go to the boot options and check, okay, secure boot re-enabled itself. That's good. So if your computer's not booting up right and giving some error, it might be you had it at a different boot setting, boot mode. So you might wanna check those settings. But you can see the computer starting up. It's Windows 11. I think they updated to Windows 11 because I don't think this one came with Windows 11. But you can see also the fan is really quiet. Is it spinning? The fan's not spinning right now, so we'll have to wait. Anyways, the date and time's gonna need to be fixed and everything. Actually, it might be right, August 21st, Wednesday. Okay, it might have updated itself. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. I do hear the fan coming on. Right? But yeah, other than that, that's all there is to it. Hopefully it helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Let's drop this. Bye.